I will go to the next and probably the last talk of this uh, day. Okay, so welcome Sankit from ISAR Kolkata. He is a BSMS student. Sankit, you can continue.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So is my screen visible?
It is becoming visible. Yes, now it is visible.
Okay. Visible? Okay.
And your presentation is on full screen mode. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can continue.
Yeah, I'm start. Okay. So good evening to one and all. First of all, I would like to thank Team Gangya for giving me an opportunity to present my ongoing work. As I mentioned, the work is under progress and it is in an exploratory phase. So to begin with, let me give you a brief background on border cell system in Drosophila. In Drosophila, the ovary is made up of ovarioles, which are strings of egg chambers. Just a second. Strings of egg chambers. They are arranged in different stages of maturity. Each of the developing egg chamber is composed of 16 central germline cells, which consist of 15 nerve cells and one oocyte. And this whole is surrounded by a monolayer of somatic epithelia. So now the migration, which is our process of interest, lies between the late stage 8, or you can call it early stage 9 as start, to the late stage 9 phase. So most of the cell assume a columnar shape and contact the oocyte in the posterior half of the egg chamber. Now during the early phase of stage 9, cell rearrangements occur within this anterior follicular epithelium cells, and the anterior cells spread into thin flat layer, and this tip rounds up and then migrates down the middle into the middle of egg chamber to the oocyte border. And these set of 6 to 10 cells are called as the border cells, and together it is called as border cell cluster. So border cell cluster consists of 6 to 10 border cells and two central polar cells, which are needed for their continuous migration. So now for as these cells are migrating, now it should need some cues for its directionality. So it is done by the guidance cues. So here is a graphic representing the ligands involved during the migration and their sources in the egg chamber. So main ligands are gherkin and PVF. Gherkin is in the anterior posterior axis, and uh, gherkin is in the dorsoventral axis, and PVF is in the anterior posterior axis. Now, border cells have the ligand specific receptors, which are EGFR for gherkin and PVF receptors, PVR receptor for PVF proteins. So you can see that the AP in the AP, the PVF receptor concentration profile is much bigger than the EGFR concentration profile. So these results were well established from the findings from of Panil Roth. So now very recent study done by Dennis Montel established the fact that the microenvironment experienced by this cluster also controls the migration. Now, if you look at this figure, so in this figure, like there are two sections, 1 and 2, which are the ML sections of this picture, and it is shown here as 1 and 2. So here you can see what you can infer from both of this figure is that the cluster always stays in the center. So this is the cluster and this is the protrusion tip of the cluster. So now one obvious question would be why at the center? So more clarity to that question is answered by this particular graphic. Here you can see different cell to cell interfaces and their intercellular spaces. So you can see here that the 5 cell juncture is located in the center where the cluster is there, and it has the maximum intercellular space. So what we can infer through this observation is that the cells tend to take the most least resistive path. So that's why they go through the cell juncture where there is most intercellular spaces. So now, as this is there is enough of information, so I just wanted to show you a 3D volume surface of this egg chamber. This was made through the default image of Imaris. So here you can see these are the posterior columnar epithelia which I was mentioning, and these are the anterior follicular epithelium cells. And out of these cells, only one of the cells uh, gets rearranged and become a border cell cluster. And these big blobs are the nerve cell nuclei, and this half is the yolk sac. So now here there is no border cell, so let's put the border cell. So here you can see the border cell cluster in the green. So now let's see what I was mentioning, the microenvironment. Regarding the microenvironment, so you can see that it is fully covered in this nerve cell microenvironment, and here also in this surface plot also it sort of stays in the center only. Now, another moving on to another interesting question during this migration is how these cells tumble. Now, the cells do tumble was well established by the work by Dr. Mohit Prasad and Dr. Montel. So in this time lapse series, what they have just marked one of the border cells, and you can see that uh, with the uh, with with the time running, the leader cell, like the cell is changing its position. With all this in mind, next let's see what can be the possible hypotheses. One is that the cell-to-cell heterogeneity in receptors, that is, the chemoattractant receptors may saturate in the leader cell and causing the lateral cell to switch the position and to increase their activation levels. And another can be the force-induced tumbling. And now the forces involved in this system are adhesion, repulsion, migration force due to the competing gradients, which I described earlier. But another thing to note is that these two hypotheses are mutually exclusive. So maybe both of them can uh, happen together also. So our lab ultimately, in collaboration with Fly Lab, aims to develop a theoretical model for the border cell migration using the experimental insights. Of course, it's a long-term question to address, and my major work is centered around standardizing the wild-type imaging, cell tracking, and standardizing the corresponding image analysis. So so before going to the experiment, we have to get our experimental lines. So this was the initial cross scheme followed. So after that, we have to get the, after getting the lines, individual dissection of egg chambers, creating the live imaging media and live imaging the sample for 3 to 4 hours. And finally trying to get a nice video, because it is possible that you spend 4 hours and still you don't get any, you don't see any migration. So after getting the video, I tracked the cells using Imaris. So this is a raw video. So you can see these border cell cluster. So after now I tracked it with Imaris. So here you can see the spheres, and this you can, here you can see the tracks. So the software gives me the position and velocity information about these 5 or 6 cells, how much it detects. So using those data, we tried to have a analysis regarding what we saw. Before going forward, I want to clear the conventions that I use. So x-axis is the anterior posterior axis, and y-axis is my mediolateral, and the z-axis is dorsoventral. So now I will be calling AP, ML, and DV, not XYZ. So with the positional information of the individual cells, I calculated the center of mass trajectory. So this is a 3D plot for 2 different samples showing the plot. So here you can see that there is a consistent Z movement at the later time. So this is a color bar representing the time. So in we can see to have an in-depth understanding of the movement in the respective axis, we will plot with each component. So if you see AP component of the center of mass, so in the AP component means the anterior posterior axis. So here you can see that we divided the whole migration into early and late phase. So our definition of this early late phase is based on the point where there is no AP movement. So here you can see that the curve is steady after this certain point. So in the video, if you see that like this oocyte boundary also comes and the cells then doesn't move that much. So you can see that here. So next is the dV component of the center of mass trajectories. So here you can see that with in the late phase there is a rise in the dV axis. So cells after traveling initially traveling in AP, they have an upward dV projection, and this is the ML component of the center of mass trajectory. Here you can see more or less there is no movement. So this also confirms the results which was presented by Dennis Montel, that there is no appreciable sideways movement of the cluster. So another metric which we were interested to check was the polarization. So polarization is the measure of the coordination of the movements between the cells. If so, our expectation was that for the early phase, the motion will be more coordinated, and during the late phase, it will be less coordinated. So these were the results. So you can see that in the late phase, the polarization values are smaller compared to the early phase. So now this much done, as I showed you the experimental video. In that I tried to mark both the polar and border cells, but the polar cells didn't express the NLS protein. So either I have to repeat the cross, or currently I am trying to make a different genetic uh, makeup to get this possible, get the possible images. And all the imaging was done using a IP microscope. So as we are also tracking the Z movement to nullify the PSF, not nullify, to decrease the PSF issue, we want to extend it into a confocal microscopy, so that we'll have a better and less noisy data in the Z. And finally building a theoretical model. So in this direction also the work has just now been started. So Somadipto Ray from TPBG lab is currently working on it. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sankit, for this presentation. Now I will ask for questions. If there is any, can you put in the chat box? There is this comment from Vidisha ma'am. Nice talks, Preeti, Dipanjan and Sankit. Okay, so if there are no questions,
Yes,
are
it
we?
was indeed a very nice series of talks. Thank you. Thank you, Preeti Dipanjan, Sankeet. Very nice effort.
Thank you.
Follow. Over to you.
Yes, thank you, Nilanjana ma'am. So if we do not have any more questions, then I would like to thank again all of the speakers of the day and all of our participants for your cooperation with us. I hope that the first day itself of our BPS week celebration helped the whole team a lot. I mean, we have gathered a lot of learning experience from this. Thanks for that. We will resume our meeting tomorrow 9 a.m. And onwards. Up to that time, please stay tuned. Okay, now I would request our host to end the session by ending the call. Thank you.